and everything. We also have the ETH Denver Hackathon. We had that in February, which I believe was to date the biggest blockchain hackathon in the industry. And it wasn't just Ethereum Denver, it was a local Boulder in Denver sort of thing. Very cool. Anyway, the reason we exist is to support you as you learn about blockchain, as you get into maybe doing a career in blockchain, and kind of just explore that path. Or if you just want to learn more about like investing or business ideas, we're here for you. So just a very brief sort of soapbox moment here. If you're familiar with crypto, you might be seeing a lot of this in the space lately, and it's crypto tribalism. It's this idea that, okay, blockchain is clearly a thing right now, and it's growing, it's becoming vibrant, there's a lot of money coming into the space, there's all sorts of projects. But what we see is this idea of well, my project is better than this project, my platform's better. And I think that's natural to some extent, and it's okay, like, you know, you have your own idea of what's gonna be more effective. But in my mind, what's not cool is this idea of maximalism, of saying, you know, hey, this is much better. Like, this project is so much better. Screw everything else. I think it's the antithesis. It's antithetical to the cypherpunk values that really gave rise to Bitcoin in the first place. So you see this even in Ethereum, this idea that, you know, Ethereum was first with smart contracts. So fuck everything else. Like EOS and Cardano, they're just a bunch of scammers. And you see this in Bitcoin very vocally, with some people saying, well, Bitcoin was the first and it's the best and it's the only true path to decentralization. In my mind, I think this is toxic and it's very dangerous. And if we want to really live up to the cypherpunk values that gave rise to all this technology, we should realize that this is a big picture thing. Our speakers tonight from Rootstock really symbolize this. They've been inspired by Ethereum, and they're taking the same concept and putting it on blockchain. So if we want to create censorship-resistant, unstoppable decentralized applications, then we should really put this technology on multiple platforms. We shouldn't be betting on just one. And what they're doing is so cool, and I think you guys are going to love hearing about it. First, though, we have Nick Rodriguez. He's doing a project called Apprentio. Apprentio is aiming to do something really cool on a local level, and I think it's scalable on a larger level as well. It's awesome. Nick will tell you all about it. I think we have this video first, and then we'll hear from Nick.
It's a gathering of a bunch of developers that are all working on the Ethereum platform, and they're all working to create decentralized applications and other products that will hopefully benefit the world.
Apprentio is this new, exciting entity that was formed with Denver kids in order to provide our high school students, juniors and seniors, an opportunity to be exposed to blockchain technology.
Everybody's asking for talent. There's not enough talent in the world right now for this, and there's only a couple developers that are actually out there able to do the work that needs to be done.
I'm excited about kids getting involved in blockchain because there are no boundaries. There are no expectations of who can be or can't be a part of this really groundbreaking next generation of technology that's going to transform our communities and the way we do business.
So they're getting the crash course. Not a lot of time. So you know, role here is really to cover everything from what is a blockchain to, you know, what's a utility token versus security token, what is cryptocurrency in general, how do you use it, you know, and how do you interact with decentralized applications or dApps, you know, online. How do you make smart contracts? How do you make those dApps?
My dream job is after today I actually want to be like a coder kind of. So it was like I was like kind of iffy about it. I wanted to be a technical engineer. So after today I actually want to be like a coder now.
I'm pretty sure I want to learn more about blockchain because overall this week was pretty cool. I like learning about what this technology is like and how it works.
millennials are changing the world, and they will be changing the world. And just working with these kids today, I was able to recognize that they're able to get things much, much quicker than the adults are able to get it.
You know, everything that I learned these past 3 days, it was just like, it opened up my mind to like a new world, new possibilities.
Cool. So I have about a minute that I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit more about Apprentio. If you didn't have a chance to go to ETH Denver, and that's where this video was filmed, Apprentio is a blockchain youth apprenticeship program. So what we do is we group at-risk youth with mentors in the blockchain community to hopefully get jobs and internships after they graduate high school. And we believe this work is really important because talent is going to be a growing need. It's a growing need right now, and as our community continues to grow, we need to be intentional about attracting diversity and people from underrepresented communities, like women. I think we have three in this room, and people of color. It's really important, and if we're not intentional about this, Kent talked about this a little bit, this will just become another co-opt Wall Street game that the 1% get to play with. So let's not do that with Ethereum. So we've partnered with Blockchain for Social Impact, Block Geeks, and a couple of other organizations to launch Apprentio, and we need your guys' help. We need mentors, so you don't necessarily have to be a developer, you just have to be passionate about the blockchain ecosystem, which you guys are all here on a Friday evening, so I imagine there's some passion about it here. So let's definitely let's try to build this community and be intentional about it. And if you guys want more information or want to learn more, I'll be here after the event and look forward to talking with you all. Thank you.
I don't think I need that.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for coming, everyone. We haven't had too many meetups in the last 2 months or so, right? It's because there's actually a lot of other community events going on, and I personally don't know which one we almost have it tradition. But I want to remind everyone that our speakers are always good, but the most value comes from you all.
Hi. Gabriel, nice to meet you. Gabriel from RSK. Are you from here? You a developer? Cool. I am an economist, so I don't know how to code. It's good. There's plenty of opportunity.
In Boulder, so those people would have come here for the event.
Yeah.
And then, like I think also just bad weather.
But it's getting better now. It didn't rain here. It's crazy. It rained closer to Boulder. All right.
I'd like to introduce our two guests. They flew here from Argentina.
Yes.
Gabriel and Adrian. Give them a round of applause.
Hi, guys. So, thank you very much for having us. It's super exciting to be here. We have so many friends here in Denver that, and Colorado in general that we're very happy to be here. We love what you guys are doing here. It's the same thing that we've been doing in Latin America for the last 5 years. Probably we would like to do a quick introduction to who the RSK founders are. Adrian has been running a software company for, 15 years? Yeah, we're quite old. With Ruben. Then Diego, maybe you know Diego Gutierrez Aldivar. He created the Argentine and Latin American Bitcoin NGOs. Then the first Bitcoin meetup that ever existed in Latin America is the one in Buenos Aires. And Sergio Lerner, it's one of developers most recognized in the crypto space in Latin America. He found 6 of the 10 most important vulnerabilities in Bitcoin and was hired by the American Bitcoin Foundation as a security auditor. He created the first Turing-complete platform that ever existed that was called QuixCoin, with QIX coin. But it was a university project that he did in 2013 for online poker. So it's only focused on online gaming. He never thought that this technology could change the world. But this is the reason why when Vitalik developed the first version of Ethereum, hired Sergio to do the security audit. So Sergio's been around for quite a long time. One of my favorite things that he's done is that he's the one that calculated Satoshi's early mining. You know, that around 1 million Bitcoins, there's actually 980,000. That analysis was done by Sergio, so it's quite interesting. So we've been in this space a long time, trying to figure out how we can use blockchain technology to transform the current situation of Latin America. We have 200 million poor and unbanked people, 65% of population. And I think what's probably most valuable when we travel around the world and visit our friends and communities in Europe or the US, is just give you the Latin American perspective, how this blockchain revolution feels from the other side, where we do not have any doubt that this financial system needs to be changed completely, and that there's half of the population on this planet that is currently outside the system. But they will have a cell phone in 2 years, and we're going to be craving to start doing stuff with the rest of the world, and it's barely impossible without the automation of smart contracts and the security of decentralized networks. So it's going to be exciting, and it's very exciting from the Latin American side. So this is part of what we want to share with you guys today. So this is something that we usually use when people do not know that much what we are doing, but you understand. But basically, it's everything we've seen so far is part of the Internet of Information, right? Until Satoshi created Bitcoin. And we believe that this is more than a technology or cryptocurrency. It's a new era of the Internet that we call the Internet of Value, that we expect to bring to our society the same benefits that the Internet of Information brought, the instant access to information, the exchange of information at almost zero cost and available to anyone in the world, but now applied to any kind of value. Okay? And this is something that sometimes when you are from the US or Europe, you sometimes give for granted. It's a major thing in the other part of the world. So, and probably that's where the use cases are going to be. So also what we'd like to do is share with you guys the doors of Latin America. If you have any cool project that you're working on any blockchain and you want to bring it to Latin America, we always have those two hats, from the NGO and from RSK. So if we can help from the RSK side, that's okay. If we can help you help the people in Latin America, we're more than happy. So that always keeps us very blockchain agnostic, and it's more for the cost than the infrastructure that you might decide to use. So I think we share a lot of the values of the Denver Meetup and the community in general, I would say. Well, this is how you see in Latin America the most beautiful and powerful currency in the world. that we tend to admire and store value in like $100 notes under the mattress. And I use this slide a lot to tell them, look, the Argentine peso is shit, right? But this is what you're storing under your mattress and lost 98% of its value in the last 100 years. So as a society, we should be able to get something more technological than something so primitive as a yellow brick or yellow stone that we put into bricks and save again under earth. No? So definitely it's very clear in Latin America with no long-term store value and limited availability of dollars for most of the population that we need something we can save on the long term. Okay, and this is the amount of dollars in the last couple of years, and after 2008 is a gray area, the green area, and the yellow line is the price of gold. Of course, price of crypto would never be able to be put in this chart. So, I spend quite a lot of time talking to central banks and to regulators and Diego and the rest of the team as well. And we try to tell them is that this is a unique moment and it's an opportunity for the emerging markets to try to catch up with the rest of the world. And maybe, when we get philosophical, we like to say that in the same way that 150 years ago, after the French Revolution, religion and government got separated, it was impossible to believe that that could be the case before. And now the Western world will never imagine how would it feel that the government tells you what you have to believe. Well, maybe we are in the process that might take 5 or 20 or 50 years in which we realize that the role of government and currency don't need to be together. And actually the governments have been doing a very lousy job at creating long-term stable currencies for store value in particular. So now the internet is offering something better, and we probably like to use it. So as I said before, we come from the Bitcoin ecosystem. So it was also very important, the long-term of store of value and functionality of Bitcoin was very limited. So we found a situation where we had to choose between the most things that we liked the most. The long-term store of value of Bitcoin and the flexibility and programmability of Ethereum. So it was a no-brainer for us to try to create something that combines the best of both technologies. And this is what RSK is about. It's basically keeping the Bitcoin layer for store of value and adding functionality, smart contracts, and programmability on top of that infrastructure. I always like to say, do you remember when we started receiving internet connection through the copper cable on the wall? That was the infrastructure that was already there. It was just to speak of the phone. And we started doing something super more exciting as sending internet signal through the copper cable. This is what we saw in Bitcoin. This is huge energy consumption and massive amount of hardware that was only there sitting to secure Bitcoin. And probably there was a way to use that infrastructure to also secure smart contracts. And that's how we came up with the idea of RSK, which is basically a combination of other technologies that were already there and proven. And we just put them together with the right economic incentives. So everybody in the ecosystem can profit and thrive through the use of RSK, and hopefully all together can get to those billions of users that need blockchain technology quicker. So now I think Adrian will explain how the combination of Bitcoin security and network with the flexibility and programmability of smart contracts work with the 5 pillars.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, first of all, I want to tell you that RSK is already public. It's working on mainnet. Last year in Consensus, we announced the testnet, RSK testnet, in May last year. So this year, we just count from Europe, we announced RSK is online. Actually, the mainnet has been running since January. Okay.
No. Sorry to interrupt. I'm going to give you this for no, but it's for the streaming. They need this. Okay, just keep it here.
So I was telling you that this is already available. The code is already available. It's open source. You can get it from GitHub. We will provide the links afterwards.
But this is already running, and you can run your applications already on RSK. So regarding what are the important things about RSK, I want to describe them briefly. Don't want to get very technical. I don't know if the audience is technical or not, maybe a mixture. So first of all, one of the most important things about RSK is that it's EVM compatible, right? So what that means is that basically your contracts and your dApps that you are running already on Ethereum, you can bring it to RSK and they will run with no change at all, right? And that's very important, and that's a decision we made that was probably one of the most important we made at the beginning of the project, is that we didn't want developers to have to learn a new technology, to learn a new programming language, or to learn new tools. We also implemented the same interface to interact with the node, so you can use Truffle, you can use MetaMask, and everything works good, right? But one of the most important different things regarding comparing RSK with Ethereum is that you basically use Bitcoin to pay for transactions. So we didn't want to create a new currency or a new speculative token, but to use, as Gabriel was telling you before, you just use Bitcoin to pay for the transactions. And how do you do that? Because RSK is actually not working on the Bitcoin blockchain, but it's actually a network separated with a different blockchain and different networks. The computers running RSK are running an RSK client, and they are not necessarily running a Bitcoin node. So that's implemented using a technology we call two-way peg. That's quite complex, but basically what you do is you get your Bitcoins locked on the Bitcoin blockchain, and you get what we call smart Bitcoins on the RSK blockchain. And using a technique called two-way peg, or we also call it bridge, that we can explain that further if any one of you is interested. We can talk about that later. And then you can go do the way back. No, you can have your smart Bitcoins and transfer them to a special smart contract or native smart contract that's called bridge, and you get your Bitcoins back, right? So as Gabriel was saying before, what we envision about this is, or what we imagine is having Bitcoin as a store of value. So you keep your Bitcoins there, but if you need to transact faster, or if you need business logic, you just take them to the RSK blockchain, you do whatever you need to do, and then you can go back if you have anything left, right? Sorry. One other important connection with Bitcoin is how our blockchain is secure. And in RSK, the blockchain is secure using the same hashing power that currently secures the Bitcoin blockchain. This is using a technique that's called merge mining. So basically you use the same machines, actually the same hardware, and that hardware is securing both blockchains at the same time, right? We kind of use the job that these miners do, but since RSK works at a lower difficulty, you can get the shares that are like thrown away by the pools to mine blocks in our blockchain. So currently we have support from more than 80% of the hashing power of the mining pools that are secure in Bitcoin blockchain. That includes Slashpool, Endpool, BTC.com, BTC.top, and we are in the process of doing this onboarding. We have the software already released, and currently, or maybe we can show Gabriel the stats. Yep. Okay. We have already securing our network more than 10%, around 10% of the Bitcoin hashing power. That's, well, it changes from time to time, but we can see in the stats, the other one. This one? Yeah. Well, for example, at this very moment, there's 3 exahash 3 exahash is 3,000 petahash securing our network. That's more or less 10% of the Bitcoin hashing power. Right? This is showing, you know the stats website where the stats of the Ethereum network are shown. This is quite similar, you know, but with a different layout. But you can see this is mainnet actually.
There's a difference with the ankles, no? That's another different how Ethereum works and
yeah, actually there is a difference in how ankles are rewarded, but that's probably something very specific to this moment.
Just an economist that wanted to pretend that
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah. Okay. So, and this is Explorer. This is actually showing testnet because this has not been launched yet. So, someone may have noticed that it's showing a different block number here because this is testnet, right? And this is an Explorer like any other Explorer you may know, but with similar like look and feel like the stats. Okay, here is the GitHub page. You know, you can go to RSK Smart RSKJ project, and you can go and get the code, and you can even propose pull requests or report issues, and you know everything is there, right?
I have a question.
Where are you guys from? In Latin America?
Argentina.
Okay. What is Argentina's perspective, like in a general sense, about the internet from the 1990s? How
broad question.
Look,
What I would say something.
how is it perceived?
Let's given that some of them might need to leave somewhere. Let's finish with the whole presentation, and then we talk.
Yeah.
In bar.
In the meantime, we Google the answer.
Yeah. Okay, shall I go back to
Go back to the slide, please. Okay. Okay, I was talking about merge mining. So the two remaining things. One is a global federation. In RSK, there is a federation of the most important exchanges around the world that provide different services through our platform. But the most important one is that they play a very special role in the two-way peg, right? Because they are the one that keep custody of the bitcoins you log. I said before, you log the bitcoins on the Bitcoin blockchain, where the federation plays a very important role to keep custody of those bitcoins until you need them back when you need to release them. And of course, the community. I will let Gabriel talk about this. I don't know if now or later, but we have different programs to have the community involved in our project. We really need that, and Gabriel will talk about it in a few minutes. Okay.
Thank you. Something also that's interesting is that all the roadmap of development of RSK is also public. So we have like 67 RSK IPs, proposals, improvement proposals, and we've shared them with the Ethereum community as well. So everything we do is open source and should be shared. And actually, we have amazing friends within the community, and this is something super important. So I'm in charge of kind of letting the global crypto community know that now we can secure also smart contracts in Solidity and Web3 by the Bitcoin network. It is way more difficult to share ideas about technology than just pumping price of different crypto products. So it's a painful job of meeting friends in every single community in the world. That's what we love to do. So we've been in Europe a month ago. Part of the team spent a month in Asia. now we're traveling around the US and taking advantage that we were here, and we can wait to go to Africa and start helping the communities over there. As I said before, we spend a lot of time. Sorry, before that, I would like to say something that to us, the most important thing was to create a standard way of creating smart contracts, right? There shouldn't be a single point of failure, right? We couldn't share more your thoughts in the spirit of the Denver Meetup. It's we should all work together and trying to reach the use cases. So that's why we also try to play a key role helping every single blockchain in the world to bring use cases to Latin America, because we think that we should make an effort all together to prove that the blockchain technology can transform our life, and it's not only a technological revolution, but it's a social revolution. And for that, we need to work together. So some of the use cases that are currently running on RSK, and this is because we started working on the use cases within the community way before even working on RSK. So we have a company that's called Signatura, has this product, Teneris, which is very simple, but it's focused to reduce corruption, which is a major problem in Latin America. So when you have a public auction, the government receives the proposals and force them to hash them at that same moment. So when you present the winner a week later, that same proposal needs to be hashed again and matched with the one that is in the blockchain. So it's very simple, very low cost, and a great way to enter into governments and organizations. This is a loyalty marketplace that runs on RSK. With 3 clicks, you can create a loyalty program and help local stores to start using blockchain technology without knowing what you're doing. As I said before, I touch a button and I use Skype and I don't know what's going on underneath. We need to make it that simple, so the people that really need blockchain technology can use it without knowing what they're doing. We've been working with Davivienda and a partner for almost a year. Davivienda is the second largest bank in Colombia. And for them, we created this evolution or roadmap in stages where they started rewarding their sales force for very specific use cases to test blockchain technology with an app. And then that was very successful. Now they are moving into a loyalty program for their customers. So every time they swipe a credit card, they get some points. And they have 3 million customers. And we're already in conversations with the Colombian Central Bank, because we want them to know that we are testing the technology in order to reach stage 3, when those tokens become, fiat tokens, or tokens valued in fiat currency, that we can propose a sandbox to the central bank, and for less than $100, let us give them microloans at a very low cost. And Davivienda's main focus is in financial inclusion in Colombia, so it was great for them. We've been working for more than a year, first in the testnet, now they're in the mainnet. I think we're going to launch a second program on the second stage. So these use cases are so important for us that we help our partners as much as we can to get them up and running. We love the crowdfunding use case in smart contracts, but we think crowdfunding or ICO should be a mean to something else. So we are spending a lot of time trying to get the users for those end products, assuming that the fundraising will be okay. This is another use case that we helped develop to our partner with Tarjeta Naranja, which is the second largest credit card, non-banking credit card in Argentina. Here is the same thing. In this case, it sells for incentives. No, actually, the stage 1 was a lunch. They used to have a lunch credit card to buy lunch in the cafeteria, and they changed that for tokens. They started using it with their employees and then with the customers. And I think now we're about to launch stage 2 with the customers. And again, then when these organizations learn how to use blockchain, how difficult it is, and the trade-offs of using this technology, they can move to the third stage. These are by far our favorite projects. These are 4 non-for-profit initiatives that we spend a lot of time in Justin knows us very well. He's been in the conferences, so he can share some experiences with you guys afterwards. Blockchain for Humanity is a non-for-profit social incubator that we've just launched with a few friends around the world. It's basically trying to promote blockchain use cases that can transform our society in positive ways. We, as probably all of you, are very concerned about type of entrepreneurs that are coming into the space and the kind of projects that are getting fundraised very irresponsibly. And when all that goes away, it's going to be very harmful for the ecosystem as a whole, and many companies or governments that have interests opposed to the blockchain global community will use that to try to harm the ecosystem and reduce innovation. So it is our responsibility to start helping those projects that probably are not the sexiest ones or the ones that can raise millions of funds in an ICO to get visibility, to reach a proof of concept. We have so many contacts in such a large global network through all our friends that if something develops a solution for transparent government solutions or transparent donations, such as the Giveth team that we love and we're very close to, or solutions that can promote financial inclusion, well, we want to help them with media coverage or as much as we can. We're trying to raise money also to be able to share with the projects and get a proof of concept. This, of course, is completely blockchain agnostic. So, if you're trying to save the world, which blockchain you're using is the least important thing. So it's just helping. If you guys are planning to do something that has a huge potential social impact, or know someone that is doing something like this, or want to help some of the projects that are part of the program, just let us know. It's something that we do because we think it's important. La BitConf is the conference that we've been running for the last 5 years in Latin America. It's completely non-for-profit, and it goes from one country to the other. How many have you been, Justin, already? 5. All the 5. So perfect assistance. We should give you an award or something. Lifetime achievement. Yeah, exactly. So we tend to focus all our attention in the conference in the community and the technology. Okay, so other projects are invited to participate, but only when they add a lot of value. I think it was Anthony Diorio that came. I think he didn't come to one. Yeah. 2014 he was there presenting Ethereum. So yes, it's a.
Just do a quick pitch. I've been to all 5, so I can attest. It's the best conference that I've ever been to. There's a reason I keep going back. It's great.
Thanks. It's a gathering of friends, and you'll still feel there the crypto cypherpunk spirit from the early days in Bitcoin. We've had Andreas Antonopoulos, Eric Borges, all the best speakers in the ecosystem. Pat Sasha. Yes. There's been a Denver delegation in all the 5 of them, but I think we could need more recruitments, definitely. No, it has the best karaoke in the ecosystem. I'm not lying. And given that we are from Latin America and we are like politically incorrect, we feel that we can do whatever, right? Because we could be like very, very, non-political, and people laugh because we're from Latin America. So we had, last year we had Nick Szabo. It was huge that he came, but we also brought Dorian Satoshi Nakamoto to the conference. And I mean, Dorian was the most popular, don't say it. He was, there was a line of 200 people who wanted to take a picture with him. So this year it's going to be in Chile, first week of December. If you want to come, if you cannot make it, you'll miss the networking, which is a lot of fun. But all the content is available for free, even the prior conferences. We believe that information is a human right, and we share everything we do. La Bitcoineta, it's our latest crazy idea. It's like a crypto minivan that will go from small town to small town across Argentina until La BitConf in December. And they will continue to the rest of Latin America. So Crypto Che Guevara explaining people how to get involved and self-employed. Yes, there might be a documentary of that. We're working on that. And I think it's open to volunteers. So if you want like spend a week in the Bitcoineta, you can just sign in and you're more than welcome to live up to the experience. And RSK Educate, it's a program. We need so many developers in Latin America. It's a problem that we have, I think, across the board in the ecosystem. And so we put together 2 courses, one for developers and another one for decision makers. It's not an RSK course, it's full blockchain stack. And we just give it for free to universities that want to set up a blockchain course or become a hub in small cities around Latin America or anywhere. So if you are willing to get into education, maybe we can help. Just let us know. And this is something that I'm sure you share, but it's something that we spend a lot of time with new entrepreneurs and people that are willing to get involved into the space. And we just repeat that over and over again, that when we all became entrepreneurs, we all wanted to become or developed a unicorn. It was like, you should target to that. If you wouldn't mention that to a VC, they would just not even talk to you. And I think, so I always do this disclaimer. Before getting into blockchain, I worked on the dark side, let's say. I worked for Monsanto. I worked for a pharmaceutical lab for oncology products, and I worked for a private equity firm. So I think that if we are really willing to do something different, we need to just not only use blockchain as a tool, we just need to do stuff in a different way. And probably we should encourage all the newcomers to the space to try to build a solution for the billions of excluded that are currently outside the system, but are desperate to be served. And probably they are the only ones that are going to be willing to pay margin to have any profit on the financial system. So there's a chance that we can have like an ikigai kind of combination, doing something that is good for humanity, trying to help billions of people, and at the same time building one of the few business models that will be profitable in 10 years in the space. We just say this to encourage those of you thinking ideas on what to do. Every time I get asked by a VC or investor in the crypto space what I think about a product, the only thing I care is whether it's targeting a few customers in a developed country or billions of customers that are currently not there, in the same way that eBay or Amazon were targeting shoppers that were not in the internet when they were created. This is how you guys can get involved in the project. All the information is on our website, which is rsk.co. This is where all the code is available in open source. If you have any technical questions, you can go to our Gitter chat. If you want to run a solution that you're currently running on Ethereum, you can either go to RSK testnet and get just free fuel from the faucet, or you just send us an email or get into this link and we give you free fuel so you can play around with your solution. If you want to get involved in the education part, just go to educate.rsk.co, just go to RSK and everything is there. And we're also inviting our friends to get involved with the ambassador program. What we're trying to do there is try to connect people that are building blockchain applications around the world. So maybe someone has had a great idea in India that could work in Denver, or someone did something in Denver that could be awesome for Argentina or Paraguay. Well, that's the whole point, is trying to facilitate that communication and exchange of ideas. It doesn't make sense that we all develop the product over and over, just trying to pursue an ICO. Maybe we can collaborate and do it only once. And this is what we wanted to share with you. Thank you very much for having us with you guys. Yes. Yes. I think it's the difficulty, how the difficulty works. Look, let me tell you how I understood it. you know, Bitcoin difficulty is very high, right? So the way the mining pools work is the following. They have a very high difficulty level up to here, but they need to know what's the actual hashing power that different miners have. So for that, they request these shares, which are basically very low difficulty level answers that they just use to understand the relative hashing power of every single miner, okay? So they receive here a lot of answers. Most of them are not valid to find a Bitcoin, but as RSK has blocks every 15 seconds or 16 seconds, the difficulty is like up here in the middle. So we use all this crap to solve the same equation at a different difficulty level, and we find a lot of solutions which are basically what gives us the blocks every 14 seconds, okay? But a solution that is valid for a Bitcoin might not be valid for that exact block in RSK. It's just using the same answers, and for that reason we achieved something that is allowing the miners to provide the same hashing power and security to the RSK network without losing zero efficiency on the Bitcoin mining side. So right now the mining pools talk to the miners every 30 seconds, right? This is not ideal if you want to win every single block or maximize your chances in RSK, because you have blocks every 14 seconds, so you should be talking to your miners every 5 seconds or something. But right now, until we have significant amount of fees that make the miner or the mining pool worth talking to the miners more often, and probably lose like 0.01% of the efficiency on the Bitcoin mining because they're talking more often, then just maximize their chances or efficiency on Bitcoin and just get rewarded with the ankles on RSK. And this is the ankle thing that I mentioned at the beginning. Okay, is that even if you have a lot of hashing power, but you're not talking to the miners every 30 seconds, you're gonna mine a lot of ankles and you're gonna get rewarded. Not as much as the father, but you're still gonna make money out of it. Okay, and whenever that money is more than the efficiency that you might lose, then you adjust and start talking to the miners more often. It's just but more bandwidth. So this is how it works. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, so is each one of those an actual block?
Yes, on the RSK blockchain. On the RSK blockchain, which is Turing complete, is similar to the EVM. With a few changes.
So the blocks that they sent are valid Bitcoin blocks, but that they are not actually included into the Bitcoin blockchain. They're included every 10 minutes, like it works as usual in Bitcoin. No?
But the miners then, are they rewarded then for?
Yes, so they get 80%, and there's something that we didn't mention. 80% of the total fees collected on RSK for the execution of smart contracts. And to give you an idea, right now a cent transaction costs 3.5 cents. So it's around an order of magnitude lower cost than Ethereum of today. But still, those fees go 80% to the miners. So for them, it's an extra revenue stream. They're just doing exactly the same and getting 80% of the total fees that are generated on RSK. There is no Coinbase because there are 21 million smart Bitcoin for 21 million Bitcoin, and they just get locked, released, unreleased, and unlocked.
There is no reward apart from the transaction fees.
There's no reward.
No.
Only transaction fees on the RSKs.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
But there's an incentive.
Yes, of course. Okay. That's why I mean in Bitcoin and crypto, everything works with the economic incentives, right?
Oh yeah, of course. That's why.
The pools like us, but not that much.
No, there is 80% of total Bitcoin mining pools that have already implemented the plugin, even Bitcoin Cash miners, because it doesn't matter which blockchain or Bitcoin you're mining. If you have an ASIC miner, you can merge mine RSK. And something interesting is that from the 20% that goes to RSK, we're planning to share part and reward it with the Bitcoin and with the Bitcoin and RSK full nodes. So the only thing that we wished Satoshi would have done different, probably, is that it is fair and important to reward full nodes, right? They make the network stronger, more decentralized, and it's extremely important, but they do not have any economic incentive. Yeah, so we said, is there anything we can do to fix that or to help? And said, well, if we are getting part of the fees, just share it with them. So Sergio designed a way where you can, because it's very tricky. that you have to make the full nodes prove that they are already holding a copy of the blockchain and not just copying another one that is, I don't know the name of that attack. Well, Sergio figured that out, and we're going to be rewarding the RSK full nodes, but also the Bitcoin full nodes. So those nodes that are doubled and have RSK and Bitcoin will receive a double reward. So it's a dream come true that from the second layer, we are also helping to the centralization of the initial layer. Yes.
You said that you're using a two-way peg to bridge between the Bitcoin blockchain and the RSK blockchain. Is that trusted or not trusted? Trustless or trusted?
Okay, so right now it's federated. Yes. Okay, so it's like this. And if I say something that is wrong, please interrupt, okay? Don't let me say something that is incorrect. When you send Bitcoins to the RSK side and you convert them into smart Bitcoins, that's done automatic, right? Trustless, if you want. When you go back, so when the miner that has received those fees wants to convert the smart Bitcoins back into Bitcoin, right? You send the smart Bitcoins to the peg, and then the peg tells the node to release the Bitcoin funds. But the Bitcoin funds are in a Bitcoin wallet, right? In a multi-sig address. So someone needs to sign those private keys. Okay. So we presented a Bitcoin improvement proposal a year ago for something called the drive chain that you might have heard. It's a simplified version of a drive chain. Okay, the drive chain, as done by Blockstream, had 5 opcodes that needed to be modified and required a hard fork. So following some ideas from Paul Stork, Sergio has improved something that is called the drive chain, which is a simplified version where you only need a soft fork adding an opcode to the block, right? So it needs to be modified in Bitcoin, and that's why we presented to Bitcoin Core, and we're waiting for the reply. They're analyzing and discussing this. But we also have Litecoin and Dash that are willing to implement it, to test it before. So the way it works is every time a miner mines a block, they have this opcode, which is 1 or a 0. Basically, if it is a 1, it's the miner with his or her proof of work saying this block is valid, let's release the funds, okay? So if you program it in a way that say after 50 blocks in the Bitcoin blockchain, let's get the funds released, if you have 100% implementation of the soft fork, after 50 blocks, you're gonna get the funds released. If you only have 50% of the miners that implement it, you're gonna need to wait 100 blocks to get 50 signatures, but you're gonna get it.
So basically, the miners are the ones deciding whether or not the funds are released?
Yes, whenever the BIP is implemented in Bitcoin, okay? Right now, until we have that, we had 2 options. Either we just wait, or we find an intermediate solution that is not perfect, but probably good enough for the current development of the system until we get the drive chain, which is a federated solution. So this is what Adrian said before with the federation. We onboarded 25 of the most recognized and distributed exchanges and crypto companies around the world that are especially focused on managing very high secure environments. And they decided to join the RSK Federation because they believe that this could add a lot of value to the space, and because we are making sure that they make a lot of money by being part of the federation. So the first solution that they will be doing is helping on the two-way peg. Each of these exchanges that have like $5 billion under management or more in security will have one private key of that multi-sig releasing the funds automatically, okay? In the future, also they're gonna be providing Oracle services. So for some use cases, extremely secure Oracle services will be very important, and these exchanges will be making a small fee out of providing that. They're also gonna be providing external security checkpoints, so running a full node and auditing what the miners are doing with the proof of work. So if you want to program your smart contract saying, I want this only to be valid when there is a checkpoint from the federation, auditing the miners, that's also gonna be an option. And we're trying to figure out as many services as we can think of for them to provide. Also, there's going to be a multi-blockchain interoperability. So whenever Litecoin wants to have smart Litecoins or smart Dash, and for those services, probably the federation will charge a small amount. In the case of Bitcoin, 1% of the total fees of the platform will go to the federation, so we'll be providing that service for free.
So what you're saying is that it's right now it's kind of trusted.
Yeah.
And you're trying to aim for a trustless solution where the miners actually determine when to release the funds.
Exactly. According to Sergio, the most secure solution would be a hybrid one, where you have a combination of miners and exchanges. Okay, so probably we'll go in that direction. But yeah.
Let's talk scaling for a minute. You guys have some ambitious plans working with banks, and this really cool idea of using this technology to empower the unbanked and really bring it to humanity. That's going to require a lot of throughput. Of course, in Ethereum, we've dealt with CryptoKitties. One really successful, slightly viral dApp kind of screwed us all for a while. But it was kind of fun to see, like, okay, what happens when you stress test a network? But it also made it very obvious that this technology is not ready to scale to massive. So in Ethereum, we talked about sharding and plasma. We have blocks on the different solutions. Two-part question for you with respect to scaling. What are the general plans with scaling? And then number two, to what extent is Rootstock scaling dependent on Bitcoin's own scaling and the bottleneck there?
Okay, so I'll tell you my opinion, then you can. So right now we can process up to 100 transactions per second, okay, on RSK. Sergio has made us very pragmatic, okay? So when he's asked about sharding, he says there's something very exciting, very interesting, but probably right now it's like shooting with a cannon to something that could be addressed in an easier way, okay? So for that reason, he developed something called Lumino Compression Transaction Protocol, which is a way to reduce and compress transactions, right? Sometimes transactions, I don't know if you know, but he created DAC coin. You can Google it. It's the first entanglement, transactions entangled solution that then was used for IOTA, right? So if you see, DAC technology was created by Sergio with the DAC coin. So basically, sometimes different transactions share a lot of information, like same sender, same recipient, same amount. So there is no need to register all that information in every single transaction. So basically, that's how you compress transactions and make the network more scalable. And according to the theoretic calculations, it could reach up to 2,000 transactions per second on chain, if all the transactions are fully compressed. Then we're also working on the Lumino network, which is a similar version to Raiden, but on top of RSK, which will allow us to have smart Bitcoins running up to 20,000 transactions per second. It's the combination of the Lumino off-chain payment plus the compression in the transactions. So this is how we're planning to contribute to the scaling solution. Something very interesting is the way the sidechain layers work, because always the lower layer will be the most secure, right? And it's similar to the way we do in the traditional financial system. If you want to send money from a bank to another, you just use an armor truck. It doesn't have air conditioning, it's not cool, it's not fast, but it's very secure. On the RSK second layer, you have an extra, if you're using smart Bitcoins, because if you're creating tokens, then your tokens will be as secure as a Bitcoin through the merge mining. But if you have smart Bitcoins, then it means that you've been through the peg. So it's one layer less secure, but you have 20 times more transactions per second and smart contract functionality. So if you need something that is super secure, and you don't care about the cost and you don't need much functionality, you just use the Bitcoin network. If you're doing an ICO, then you just receive the funds in Bitcoin. There is no need to go through the same fuel that you're using to execute the smart contract to receive the funds. And through the bridge, you just send the tokens, and the only smart Bitcoins that you need in the peg at risk are the ones that you're using for the execution of the smart contract. Okay, and then if you need more scalability and you can afford more centralization, or well, then you go to Lumino, right? So this is our vision of how we can contribute to the general scalability problem to the industry. And of course, if sharding works, we will implement it. Or if proof of stake works, we will implement it.
Segueing into part two of my question, let's say that we have a scenario kind of like in January where blocks are maxed out and transaction fees, mining fees on Bitcoin are sky high. Is that, are those associated costs passed on to Rootstock users?
Well, just when you're going back and forth to the peg. So once you have your Bitcoins converted into smart Bitcoins, then all the fees that you pay are the 3 cents on the RSK network. Okay, so the only Bitcoin related fee is the one to get in and out.
If you're opening a channel on Lightning,
Exactly.
transaction fee, but then you're on the site.
Exactly. And the other thing that we agree with the Plasma vision is that interoperability in different blockchains is super important. I don't know if that much for the scalability, but especially for the anti-fragility. You know, we don't want to have one single point of failure in the ecosystem. This technology is way too important, and the world needs it a lot and very fast. So we are very happy with different blockchains and different teams competing, you know, based on decentralization, based on security, and based on innovation. So we are completely against tribalism, and we've just taken the most exciting technologies available in the space and put them together with the right economic incentives. So we are thankful to all the other developers and projects that have been working before us, and all the partners that are working beside us trying to drive this revolution forward. If we create anything that is interesting, any other project can take it. As long as it's open source, we need as many projects and as many talented developers working on this as we can. So yeah, this is our general vision, I would say. This. Yep.
Sort of along the same lines, will there be any kind of bridges or interoperability with Lightning or other second, third, fourth layer protocols and RSK or RSK's second, third, fourth layer?
Yeah. Well, Gabriel mentioned something about that, but the short answer is yes. We're not working on that at this very moment, but we are in good talk with the Litecoin project. We've been talking also with Emercoin lately, between Cash. So we really expect to have bridges with all of them, and yeah. But
I mean, Lightning Network, second layer of.
Okay. Okay. No.
We haven't discussed it yet, and we need to understand the amount of work that would require and the benefit that would bring. But we believe that every single network should be connected. I mean, for sure. So from a philosophical standpoint, definitely yes. From a practical standpoint, I think we have. First of all, we need to go through all those.
Yeah.
RSK rules, and then we will talk about one.
Yeah.
So I had another question on the trustless versus trusted. You said that you're using you're proposing drive chain as a solution to the trustless. Does Blockstream or anybody have patents on side chains that would interfere with that proposal? So in other words, if somebody is controlling the development on the Bitcoin chain, on the Bitcoin platform, and they have their solution, they might not be amenable to putting your solution in there that competes with their solution.
Okay. I'm not aware of patents regarding drivetrain, but we are in very good conversations with Blockstream regarding implementing drivetrain. Gabriel was and Diego were talking with Adam Bag these last few days in consensus. So
I'm not concerned about that because it's so against the cypherpunk spirit that I'm sure Adam would never promote that. I think we all have this sense that what we're doing is beyond ourselves, and we're not doing this for us, but this is the first time in our see. I'm not concerned that different source projects such as Blockstream or RSK or Bolt Storks as well, or will use patents against other projects to stop the innovation, try to capture it. Might be wrong, but this is my feeling at least. I think we should.
Is there patented technology that would allow you to do what you're trying to do trustlessly? Are there patents out there that you have to kind of go around right now?
No, as far as I know, the only thing we need is more hands and developers and help, and the involvement of the community and collaboration between the different teams working around the world. I'm not aware of any patent that is or might be delaying or forbidding what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But you know, the VIP has to be discussed, and there is a lot of work to do regarding convincing a lot of people. So it's kind of political and yeah, but so.
But it's good. Because if we need to decide between the anti-fragility and the scalability, I will always choose the anti-fragility of Bitcoin. So I think if we cannot develop smart contracts and scale Bitcoin to where we think could be used to make more efficient use of the infrastructure that already exists, some other blockchain will provide that solution. But we need to protect the store of value. We need to protect this goal 2.0 that, in my opinion, only Bitcoin has solved today can provide. So this is the most important thing. So if it takes 4 or 5 years to discuss the drive chain, it's not that what I want, but I think it's something that.
Yeah, actually, conversation started a long time ago,
yes.
Last year in Consensus, but we had all this Segwit 2x and Segwit discussions that kind of delayed everything. So we expect
the
it.
difference was probably adjusting, or I don't know if any of you has also been in the conference, but the energy was completely different from last year. It was people working and companies and projects building stuff, not that much in fighting. It's completely taking everyone's attention last year. So that's very positive.
Okay, good.
What's your approach to mitigating currency fluctuation for like smart Bitcoin, and then on the flip side, the people that you're trying to impact, like the billions? Like, how do you guys approach that problem?
So I'm a big fan of all the different projects that are trying to find a stable coin. And I'm really curious about what's going to happen. I also believe that borrowing ICOs for infrastructure will prove to be also good store of value in the long term when markets become too volatile. So I want to see prepaid tolls to build bridges and roads, and pre-selling square meters to build housing and things that can create GDP growth and jobs. Those are going to be tokens. They're going to be security tokens, so we need to find a way to do security tokens first. But will be very stable. It will even add you just a small interest rate per annum. So we will definitely find some crypto-backed solutions. But also, if we only solve the security problem, then we can have real infrastructure assets or bonds sitting on crypto assets. So I'm very excited to see what the ecosystem can come up with, and I know about multiple ideas. I think BitMe and Circle announced a new Tether 2 days ago. So they put like $110 million to create, and I think they're going to create it with a lot of transparency and credibility on the assets backing that token. So yeah, really looking forward to see. Definitely the microloans and the financial inclusion solutions will have to be in local currency. We cannot expose the loan takers to volatility. Now, what is a stable coin, right? Because if you live in Argentina and you're selling stuff in the market in pesos, then your stable coin is pesos, right? Even when the peso is not quite stable. So if you're lending that person a microloan in whatever we believe in the US that is a stable coin, probably it's not a stable coin for that person. So there's so many weird questions that we need to ask ourselves now. Yeah. Ladies first. Biggest priority? I think we're working in multiple layers at the same time. The end goal is always the use cases. So the most important goal is to find the right use cases that would just add value to our society, and it could be developed, or how we can do to help them to be developed on an RSK. Then from a technical standpoint, Adrian could talk to you like for 4 weeks, I think, with priorities.
Most important challenges we have now in RSK is building a community. You know, having developers working on our platform, having use cases, as Gabriel said, and that's what we need to focus on.
Yes, as you might know, part of the community-driven activity, even when we don't like it, is related to price, right? And we've been evangelizing and talking to people and government for the last 5 years, and it was extremely hard. And now when Bitcoin price and crypto prices went up, they were all calling us and say, hey, let me know about that technology. So it's something that we don't like, but still appreciate, you know, because it's, anyway, it's awareness. Given the fact that we're just building technology on Bitcoin, we depend on the excitement around Bitcoin right now, or the crypto space in general. But it's just amazing when you go to different Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain meetups around the world, and you find people with the same values. Sometimes they've never been to Argentina, or it's the first time we go to that country, and after a couple of hours and a few beers, we're all friends. So yes, we're enjoying this process of letting the community know that now there's a new option where you can run smart contracts secured by the Bitcoin network. Maybe some use cases will use one infrastructure, other use cases will use another one. I think we all should try to work together to bring the highest level of security to the lowest execution cost. And for us, it was kind of a no-brainer trying to use the infrastructure already deployed to add value to the smart contract community. So
I come from the not technical side of things. When you talk about having the masses adopt this technology, what do you see as the biggest hurdle? How are you going to make it so that the average person, somebody like me who has no knowledge of blockchain, feels comfortable adopting this and can use it in a way that is seamless, in the way that, like, for me, I can go on my Wells Fargo app and just sign in with my thumb and say, hey, I want to give some money to somebody. How are you going to make it easy?
yes, I think that's the biggest challenge in the whole ecosystem. What I think is that definitely this technology is not done for us. We don't need it. I mean, we used to buy CDs before, now we use Spotify. We used to go to Blockbusters, and now we just stream it. But it's not that we didn't know what music was before. No? Definitely, we do not perceive, it's hard, even for us that we live in Buenos Aires, to understand what's going on 200 kilometers away from the capital city, in Latin America, in the rest of the emerging markets, in Africa, in Asia. So those are the consumers and the users that will drive the blockchain revolution. And 20% of them don't have an ID. So when we define KYC rules, we are deciding whether they might have a future or not. You know, so we need to rethink everything. So for them, probably the most important hurdle is the ID part, or the rules that the emerging markets impose on everybody else that is trying to build financial services for very low-income part of the population. In other cases, is the usability. No? So a large percentage of that, people don't know how to read. But we've seen in Africa that when there's need, people learn how to use it. So with M-Pesa, I think we have like 40% of the Kenya's GDP using cell phone credits. We can definitely add innovation to that. So if we build solutions that are extremely low cost and very easy to use, and the person doesn't need to know that there's a blockchain going on underneath, I think we're gonna make it. It's a huge challenge, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Speaking of volatility, a lot of people here in the U.S. don't know that the Argentinian peso lost 33%
I think it lost like 15% since I left Buenos Aires last week.
Yeah. Like 10 days ago,
It was 20 pesos and it's 25.
18 to 1 about 2 weeks ago. Now it's 24, 25-ish. Anecdotally, I was wondering if you guys are experiencing what you were going through like in December, January, when the prices were hitting all-time highs. If your fellow countrymen are beating down your doors now that because the joke in Argentina is every 10 years shit hits the fan. Last time shit hit the fan, 2008, so it's almost like right on cue. Here we are, 10 years later, it's losing 30, 40, 50% of its value.
Yeah.
So are you guys blowing up, on your WhatsApp? Your friends are asking all about the Bitcoin currently.
Yeah, so, before that, we had like 10 years that were extremely difficult. It was impossible to buy US dollars, which is the strongest currency that we have there to use. There were a lot of capital controls, very high inflation. So Bitcoin was very easy to understand in Argentina. Andreas Antonopoulos said something that I really like and I've been quoting a lot. He said, I travel all around the world and people ask me why Bitcoin. When I go to Latin America, people tell me how Bitcoin. They understand the why. It's super clear. So yes, definitely more and more people are interested in getting into the crypto space right now. Hopefully, and it's something that I've seen in the last 5 years, many people come from the investment side and they stay for the revolution, which is something I think huge and it's amazing when it happens. Many of them get involved. They just want to make some money, and then they realize that this is the thing that when they were kids and wanted to be a superhero. Well, now that's something that they can do about it, and those are the most rewarding cases and friends that we find, or entrepreneurs that have been in the space for a long time and been very successful and just cannot stop reinventing stuff and getting involved in more stuff. So yeah, definitely Argentina, it's one unique case. This is probably why you see so many projects from Argentina and entrepreneurs. Like if you're able to be an entrepreneur in Argentina, you're kind of bulletproof, 'cause if you didn't die before, and that makes us understand the economics and of money, of currency, and why this is important.
So I'm going to go down the non-technical side, and since you're from Argentina and you understand the inflation problem, why didn't anybody actually just mint silver coins and just screw the government currency? In other words, you've got American coins, a dime, a silver dime, is worth like $1.90 now today in today's dollars. So I mean, if you just mint your own coin, you just screw the government. It's like, we're just going to make our own coin.
Yeah, that's a great question, because if you want to take it even farther, there's no a huge culture of goldbacks in Argentina. It's not within the culture. There might be people that's save in hard currency, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it's not safe to store physical metals. But even if people would do it, it would be just 1% of population. 65% of the population have negative savings, so they just can everything they receive they consume, and so you also need to keep in mind that there's a huge inequality in the emerging markets. So the people that will be using these services don't have savings, and this is one of the most important problems that we've analyzed. When there's a team, part of the NGO, that's been working for the last 3 years in 3 Buenos Aires slums, trying to take blockchain technology to promote financial inclusion, and there was a lot of education. And actually, we just announced in consensus that the NGO, that part of the NGO that is called Sistema D, closed an agreement with the Inter-American Development Bank, the AIDB, of $1.5 million grant to develop blockchain financial inclusion solutions in the slums of Buenos Aires, la Villa 31, that one that is close to Retiro. So it's a huge announcement. We're going to be doing blockchain solutions on multiple platforms to promote financial inclusion in the Argentine slums. So when we went there a couple of years ago and said, okay, guys, so what do you need? How we can help? Do you need microloans? And they say, yeah, kind of, but you know what? We need somewhere to save. How? Like, well, our houses don't have doors. So if we, even the few of us that understand how important it is to save and accumulate something for our kids to be in a better position, as my grandparents and great-grandparents had the ability to do 100 years ago when they arrived to Argentina, they cannot store any value because it's very insecure where they live, and the banks will not let them put any money in the bank. So for them, cryptos, the first use case that they saw is a way to save in a secure manner. And then, of course, the crypto loans will be extremely useful and interesting. We were surprised,
There's a trick in the United States that's going through various, alternative conservative groups. And what they'll do is they'll save their gold and silver. They won't put it in the bank. What they'll do is they'll take PVC pipe and seal up in PVC pipe, find a place with the GPS locators, find a place in the desert or someplace, take a big hole, dump it in the ground, and bury it. So when they need to come back and get it, they know exactly where it's at, where to get it. So there are ways to make it safe. All right, never mind.
That's super cool. It reminds me Terminator, it's super scary. I hope, if the guy is coming, he might kill us, we need to be careful of that as well. So do we have any more question? Yeah, but it's a good idea though. Shall we?
Yeah, so let's give it up.
Thank you very much, guys.
Two quick shout-outs. Give it up. I don't think we have any enterprise reps here, but Enterprise Co-working hooked us up with this venue free of charge, so thank you, Enterprise.
Thank you very much.
Also, Ideas by Nature is our sponsor on an ongoing basis. So pizza and beer. I know there's a lot more beer back there, so please help yourself. Grab a few food.
And we brought a few stickers if you guys want some. We have some stickers.